Greater Thumb Conference has been decided and just one more week remains in the regular season. Good evening and welcome to the WLEW Sports Network's presentation of The Strong Side on Sports Radio 1021. I'm Clark Ramsey, your host, and joining me tonight is a true professional. He even has a license to prove it. Please welcome back Dave Hansen.
It's good to see you guys. Happy to be back, and we are 1 week closer to the playoffs. One more chance for everybody to make their case.
Also in studio with us is the sports editor of the Huron Daily Tribune, Paul P. Adams.
Hey, welcome back again, Dave. It's nice of you to join us. I can't wait to talk about the games we saw this week.
Both USA and Ubly have already clinched a share of their respective divisions last week, and all they had to do is win this week to claim it outright. They did more than just that and proved that they are worthy teams in the East and West.
They certainly have. They finally decided who was ahead in the Wild Wild West, and Ubly did not disappoint as usual.
In the next 60 minutes, we will dive into the Week 8 results across the thumb of Michigan and see what the dark arts of the MHSA are up to for the postseason. Tonight's edition of The Strong Side is presented on the WLEW Sports Network by Active Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine, McCormick Motors of Pigeon, Randy's Hunting Center, Thumb National Bank and Trust, and Sure Healthcare Network. Better health, better life. Left side or right side, you're listening to The Strong Side on Sports Radio 1021, home of the WLEW Sports Network. Left side or right side, you're listening to The Strong Side on Sports Radio 1021, home of the WLEW Sports Network. This segment of The Strong Side being presented by Active Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine. Life is painfully enough, no need to feel it in your back, too. That's Active Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine, west of the Light in Bad Axe, and now a second location in Sandusky. It was week number 8 of the regular season in an 8-player division. Deckerville blasts out Kingston 42-0. It was 34-0 at halftime and just one score in that second half. Deckerville's Fritsch had 15 carries for 150 yards. That's a good average for 2 touchdowns. Kingston was held to just negative 2 yards on rushing, a slow night for Deckerville's defense, and just allowed 53 yards in the passing game for Kingston. Deckerville upsets the Peck Pirates 62-34.
North Huron, you mean?
Excuse me, that's what I meant. North Huron upsets Peck 62-34. It was a back-and-forth game. North Huron was trailing, and in the second half, comes out guns a-blazing, scores 40 points in the second half compared to Peck's 6 for the 62-34 ball game. Owen Gage takes out Caseville to advance to 7-1 on the season, 62-6 your final over Caseville, and Dryden takes out Mayville 50-8.
Obviously, what sticks out here is the North Huron win. Peck is a team that we thought was going to go to the playoffs. They lost a heartbreaker the week before. They lost a very good player early in that game, and it looks like injuries have really played a factor for Peck. Great win for North Huron, but as far as Peck goes, that's it. You're probably out of the playoffs. 5-3. I don't know who they have this week, but that might just do them in. They might not have enough points to get in.
Yeah, this one really hurts because North Huron without a win. I mean, if North Huron was a 500 ball team, it might not hurt as much. But North Huron has struggled all year. This is a great win for them in that rebuilding program. But again, you got to love Deckerville. Can you not love what Deckerville's doing? Just dominating people all the way around.
And awesome. And it should be noted that was Deckerville's last game of the regular season. They could not find a Week 9 opponent, so they are off this week. They're going to get rested up and ready. But ultimately, what that's going to do is it's going to cost Deckerville points. And if things play out certain ways, they might only get one home playoff game. They could have to go on the road in the regional and in the semifinals, which is something they didn't want to do. They couldn't find that 9th game. It's really unfortunate because this team deserves to be at home. They're the best team in the Lower Peninsula. They're going to the state championship game, and they might have to go on the road to do it.
And to answer your question, Peck is hosting Dryden this coming week.
Well, I'd be picking Dryden in that game.
An 11-player division in the Greater Thumb Conference in the West. USA takes out Vassar, blanks them 42-0 was your final score in Vassar, as USA now 7 wins in a row to have 7-1 on the season. Only lost to Ubly. Reese falls to Cass City in quite the fashion. We have coverage on this one tonight for you. Cass City final score 26, Reese 22, and just as a teaser here, Reese was leading 22-14, only 6 minutes into the ball game. Lakers hosted Bad Axe, and they took out all their anger against the Hatchets. Final score 48-7 over the Hatchets. Lakers now 7-1 on the season. Brown City takes out Sandusky 62-19 in the Sanilac County seat. Marlette over Memphis. Marlette's first victory of the season, 47-6 over Memphis, who is now 0-8 on the season. And our game of the week on the WLEW Sports Network, Ubly Bearcats demolished the Harbor Beach Pirates 54-12 on homecoming.
What sticks out to me is the Cass City Reese game. Last week I said this was a playoff game. The winner gets in, and I think Cass City, all they have to do is take care of Carroll. They should be able to do that. And I challenge Cass City, win a close game. All their losses have been close games this year. They hadn't been blown out of a game, but they had lost games. They finally found a way to win that close game. So kudos to Cass City. They did it in dramatic fashion, and they found a way to do it, and it's going to earn them a playoff game.
Dramatic to say the least. I was impressed with USA. USA absolutely goes into Vassar, and Vassar is not that bad of a team. To go in and destroy them in their own town, I think that's very impressive, and that's a statement game for them as the playoffs draw near. They are looking for a little revenge on the Bearcats, and they're trying to prove a point. I was very impressed with that win.
What I like about USA is last year they were limping into the playoffs. This year they're building momentum, and they're playing better and better and better. They are playing their best ball. I think we're kind of looking ahead to the possible district championship rematch between Ubly and USA, and that should be a really good one.
Keep in mind, I think USA, or when Ubly played Vassar, I think Vassar scored 30 points in Ubly, roughly in that area on Ubly. USA goes into Vassar and doesn't allow a point. That's a statement game in my mind.
The game of the week on the WLEW Sports Network was Ubly on the road at Harbor Beach, and it was a lot of scoring. Let's just say that. That's saying the least. In the first quarter, Ubly, with about 5 minutes into the ballgame, 6:59 left in the first, Nathan Keller breaks out for a 31-yard run. Derek Brown with a 2-point conversion makes it 8-0 Ubly. In the next 22 seconds, Harbor Beach is Brady Kirsch with a 30-yard pass to James Shelke, and suddenly it's within 2 points as the 2-point conversion fails, Ubly leading 8-6. 36 seconds later, 6:01 left in the first, Ubly's Jonathan Brandel breaks out for a 47-yard run. In just a 3-play drive, Derek Brown with a 2-point conversion makes it Ubly by 10, 16-6. In the second quarter, Ubly's not done. 10:37 before the half. Jonathan Brandel with his second score of the night, this time from 2 yards out. Brandel with the run makes it 24-6 Ubly, but Harbor Beach proven they are not done yet. 4:46 before the half. Harbor Beach's Daniel Lanfear on a 2-yard run. 2-point conversion fails. It's 24-12 Ubly by 12. 3:18 before the half is over. Ubly's Jonathan Brandel with his third score of the night. Again from 47 yards out. Nathan Keller on the 2-point conversion puts them out by 20 points, 32-12. And Harbor Beach starts to get a drive together to end this first half. Then they get all the way down to the Ubly 1-yard line as time is expiring. And on their last play of the first half, they get stopped on Ubly's 1-yard line for no score. 32-12 is your halftime score. After homecoming festivities, third quarter, Ubly, on the first play of their drive, Derek Brown busts out for 65 yards and a score. Brandel with a 2-point conversion, and suddenly it's a 28-point game, 40-12. 5:55 left in the third. Brandel with another score, 4 yards this time. Palace with the run, and now we have a running clock situation. It's 48-12. Ubly leading by 36, and with 28 seconds left still in the third quarter, Nathan Keller with a 27-yard run. The PAT is no good, 54-12 Ubly. Entering the fourth quarter, no score in the fourth quarter, and the Bearcats improve to 8-0 in the season with a 54-12 victory over arch rival Harbor Beach.
What I thought was the real key of this game, and I didn't think Ubly was going to lose this game, but that stop at the end of the first half, that just shifted momentum completely, and I thought that carried through with that first carry that Derek Brown took to the house in the second half. You know, if Harbor Beach goes in, it's somewhat close. It's a 2-score game, and they feel like, well, you know, if we get a break or two our way, we can still stay in this game. Instead, it goes into the half, 32-12. Ubly comes out, leaves no doubt about it. And I just thought, to me, that was the sequence of the game and really set the wheels in motion for a dominating second half from Ubly.
There's two things, and one of them's a little thing and the other one's a big one. The small one is Ubly converted every 2-point conversion in this game, and obviously the last one, they tried an extra point in case that situation ever comes up. But they converted every 2-point conversion. Harbor Beach didn't convert any of theirs. And after you have a few of those, that's extra touchdowns you're putting up on the board eventually, and it added up quickly for Ubley. The other one is when Ubley was on offense, I truly felt that it didn't matter if Harbor Beach had 11, 12, 14 guys on defense. I don't think it would have mattered. That is how good, and obviously Harbor Beach's defense is not very good, but that's credit to Ubley's offensive line. Everyone is in the right position. They block well, and those running backs, Brown and Brandel especially, they don't miss the holes, and they have a lot of speed to burn, and they were showing off on Friday night, and it was fun to watch.
It's what's so frustrating about wing T teams like Ubley and USA, and these are two teams that just put on clinics running the wing T. You know what's coming. There's no surprises. You know exactly what they're going to come. They're going to trap. They're going to counter. They're not reinventing the wheel here, but you just can't stop it. And to rush for 506 yards on 43 carries, I mean that's big time. When I saw when you sent the email over with the stats, I had to do a double take. 506 yards. All on the ground, didn't even attempt a pass. That was Ubley absolutely coming in with a game plan. We're going to run it down their throats, and there's nothing that Harbor Beach was going to be able to do about it, and that's exactly what happened.
And I find that as a mistake. I say this every year, and it's usually about Ubley. At some point in the playoffs, you're going to have to throw a play action pass.
But wing T teams just simply don't pass. I mean, it's just the nature of the offenses that they run. The quarterback is there to hand the ball off and to run it occasionally, and
eventually you're going to run into a good enough team where they're going to put you in a situation where USA's, the Lakers especially, do a nice job of it, of getting the quarterback out and throwing something to the sideline to kind of back them defensive backs and linebackers up just a little bit, just enough to make them think about it.
Let's go back to 2012. Harbor Beach beat Beale City. Beale City was a wing T team, a one-dimensional team. What happened? Harbor Beach absolutely jumped all over them, and once you jump all over a wing T team, get up 2 or 3 scores, Beale City didn't know what to do. They couldn't throw the ball because they hadn't thrown the ball all year. So, I mean, you're making the great point, but that's just, wing T teams, they stick to what they do. They're not throwing teams, and they're just going to stick to their game plan and hope it works.
I will say, though, in week number 1, when Ubley played USA, I believe Ubley threw for about 75 yards. Ubley is capable of doing it, Matt might check, but I think your point is, are they going to be ready to pull that out?
Right. To me, it's the repetition against real defenses, real other teams that is not your own team, not practicing at home. I mean, in a live game. And in this game, when the game started to be clearly out of hand, I think a play action pass wouldn't have been a big deal. Obviously, in the fourth quarter, there's no point in doing it. But in the first quarter, when you need it, dial it up, because I really think, and this may sound terrible, I really think Ubley ran 5 plays all night. I think they ran the same play to Brown to this side and Brandel to that side, and if it isn't broke, we aren't going to fix it, because it was impressive to watch.
I think Ubley does have an eye on the future. They know a lot of teams are watching them right now. So why show something if you don't have to show it? Ubley may very well have these pass plays in their back pocket, but why waste it against Harbor Beach? Why waste it against Bad Axe? Seriously, I mean, you know those are games that you're going to win, and they know in all likelihood there's going to probably be a possible rematch with the USA in that district championship. If everything plays out the way we're looking, that's when you want to break that out, because you have 2 teams that do the same thing, so you're going to have to do something different to beat that team.
Now, that argument I agree with, because they obviously don't want to show it. We know Mychek is capable. You prove that, because that was a question you and I talked about when we covered that game. He's a new quarterback. A, can he run the offense? B, can he do something? Can he run? Can he throw the football? He can do it all. We do know that. And they only ran him twice, and they went for large gains. And
I love when they run Mychek, too. And he brings us another dynamic.
I really think he only ran the ball twice all night, probably had 50 yards rushing, and he could have had that play anytime they wanted it. They ran everything well. But again, it's a credit to the linemen and the ends, sealing blocks. Some guys are blocking a guy and blocking the next guy. That's how impressive. These undersized Bearcats are in the right position, the technique, everything. Kudos to the coaching staff all the way down to the kids. They block well, they run well, and everybody's rewarded for it with a lot of W's.
And just as a point here to show the domination, especially in the second half, Harbor Beach was held to just 34 yards in the second half altogether on a 234-yard night. For Ubley, they went for 506 yards, rushing the ball and 7 touchdowns. They were led by Derek Brown with 13 carries, 172 yards and a score. Jonathan Brandel, 11 carries for 133 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's right, 4. And Nathan Keller, just 7 carries for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. For Harbor Beach, Brady Kircher, leading rusher, 12 carries, 37 yards. James Shelkey, 4 for 25. Daniel Lanfear, 3 carries for 4 yards and the only rushing touchdown. Harbor Beach, the damage they did do was through the air. Brady Kirsch was 14 for 28 through the passing game and 2 interceptions for 172 yards and 1 touchdown. James Shelkey brought in 5 receptions for 83 and 1 touchdown, and Brennan Shed 6 receptions for 63 yards. So some certain things of Harbor Beach was doing well, but just clearly outmatched in every aspect of the ballgame.
I agree with you, and I think that passing offense they presented with the spread, because our wing T offenses in this area don't see it very often, I think that was an advantage to them, and they really did have an opportunity to move the football, score early on Ubley. Yes, I do believe they made the proper adjustment basically by putting 3 or 4 guys in the area of Shelkey and making him, have a tough time catching the football and forcing Kirsch to look other directions. But this offense definitely has the potential, was very potent, and it had the ability to score more points than what it did in the second half. This game was out of hand, and I think that kind of showed on them. They knew what was coming, but this offense was fun to watch. It was something different, and they executed it very well. They just lack a little bit of speed.
Yeah, that duo of Kirsch and Shelkey, we've talked about it before. That's a lot of fun to watch, but unfortunately for Harbor Beach, once Ubley caught on and said, we're going to take Shelkey away, there wasn't a whole lot for Kirsch to do. That's when he started taking those sacks, and that offense really kind of ground to a halt, and then the defense couldn't stop anybody.
The Ubley Bearcats now 8-0 in this season, trying to wrap up the perfect regular season as they host the Bad Axe Hatchets in Week 9, who is 1-7 on the season, lost 5 in a row now. Harbor Beach has lost 2 in a row, at 4-4 on the season, and they are hosting the USA Patriots at 7-1, a game you will hear on Sports Radio 102.1. The WLEW Sports Network coverage starts at 6:10 p.m. on Sports Radio 102.1 with Clark Ramsey, Dave Hansen, and the whole gang. It's time for a short break on the strong side. When we return, we'll take a look at a wild and crazy game in the Greater Thumb West between Cass City and Reese, and much, much more. You're listening to Sports Radio 102.1. Listen to the WLEW Sports Network in more ways than ever before. Tune into Sports Radio 102.1. Download the Cruise 102 app on your Apple or Android device, or listen live and worldwide at WLEWsports.com. This segment of The Strong Side presented by Randy's Hunting Center of Bad Axe. For any of your hunting and fishing needs, make it Randy's Hunting Center in Bad Axe, where the bucks are big, the tails are long, and all the deer are four-legged. Give them a call at 269 GUNS Guns. Cass City and Reese faced off on Friday night, and it was a wild one. Much like the Harbor Beach game, it was a match score through 6 minutes, except Reese comes out first in the first quarter, and Jake Scallister runs it in from 10 yards out. Cass City responds with a Nick Perry 2-yard run, and Reese with a Jacob Hartman 68-yard kickoff return ensuing. Cass City responds for themselves. TJ Moore rumbles 80 yards down the field on the first play of their drive. And then Reese scores. Callister with a 63-yard pass to Macklin, and we're just 6 minutes into the ball game, and it's Reese 22-14. And then all of a sudden, it's like they remembered they're in the Greater Thumb Conference. Second quarter, no scoring at all, and it's still 22-14 at halftime. In the third quarter, Cass City with the lone score, Brad Hacker with a 6-yard run, and capping off of a 13-play, 6+ minute drive. And Reese's lead is down to just 2 points, 22-20, after a 2-point conversion fails. And then on to the fourth quarter. Here comes Cass City. They get the ball back with 46 seconds left after holding Reese out to a 3-and-out. And then with 21 seconds left, Cass City's Sandon Cuthrell launches a pass for Brad Hacker, 18 yards down the field, and it's a touchdown. And suddenly Cass City's leading 26-22. Hold your breath, and here we go. Cass City's Reese has the ball. Galster to Macklin is complete on a pass. Breaks out of apparently 7 tackles from our friends at 92-1, as they were saying. Spins out of every possible tackle and gets in for the touchdown. And if it holds, Reese would win. However, there's a flag on the Cass City 35-yard line, and it was a block in the back against Reese, and that pushes them back. And then, for whatever reason, the officials gave him another chance as time was expiring. And there was an offensive penalty, but they gave Reese another chance.
So it's the Central Michigan rule.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then Reese tries on a final play. It falls incomplete, and Cass City hangs on, winning out late. Cass City 26-22. The first time this year, really, Cass City's pulled one out in the end and was on the winning side.
No question about it. First thing I got to point out is that, again, congrats to Cass City. This is a must-win game for them to get into playoffs. They finally win that tight game. But, my goodness, you score with 21 seconds left. You got to kick it off and defend a couple pass plays. If they run it, tackle them, and bounce, this game is done. So, I don't know how far, I'm not sure any of us know, how far Reese had to go with 21 seconds, counting the kickoff, mind you. That they found a way to score anyways in that 21 seconds is beyond me. I can't understand this for the life of me. It sounds like tackling is an issue. That's a bad time to all of a sudden forget how to tackle one guy. But that's just the Cass City's got that. I don't know what it is, but it's like a cold or something. They constantly have it at the wrong time.
Oh, that's me, actually.
That's currently you, yeah. Keep it to yourself, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's mind-blowing to me how they had the lead. It's almost like they have something wrong with them where they just can't win a game, and they tried to give this one away too.
That's Michigan State.
Well, that's never mind. I'm going to be nice. I'll pass it to you, Paul. Go ahead.
Well, what you're saying kind of reminds us of the end of the USA Cass City game, where really thought Cass City should have won that game and really found a way to, USA found a way to win that game, and Cass City did USA a lot of favors and almost did it again, but hey, they got fortunate here with the block in the back. I wasn't there. I'm not going to say if it was a good call or a bad call. I'm sure if you go to Reese, you're going to hear one thing or the other. Doesn't matter. It was called, and Cass City found a way to overcome a lot and to win this game when they absolutely positively had to do it. And when it looked like it was going to be a shootout, they were able to recover and shut Reese out for 3 quarters. A lot's got to be said about Cass City's defense. After giving up 22 points in the first quarter, and it looks like, oh my goodness, Reese is going to score 60. 3 straight shutout quarters, and you found a way, and you put the game in the hands of your freshman quarterback, Sandon Cantrell. He makes a play to Hacker for the game-winning touchdown, and enough can't be said about this win for Cass City.
We've been hard on Cass City because we know they're extremely talented.
This is a talented team. They put 3 running backs went over 100 yards in this game. That's talent right there.
We've been hard on them from quarterback to defensive back to coaching and everything, and everything worked out better. Coaching, defense, you name it. They made the proper adjustments in this game. The first quarter, the first 6 minutes after that, it was like, all right, guys, enough of this. This is what's happening. This is what we got to do. They made the changes and completely upended Reese the rest of the game, which is very impressive. And just that last play, they're just mind-blowing that they needed a penalty to help them win and secure that game. But nonetheless, they get the break that they needed. They stand tall and win a very tough game, and deservingly so. They should be in the playoffs. In my mind,
I'm really impressed by the rushing. I mentioned 3 guys over 100 yards, 438 yards for the game and 3 touchdowns on the ground. So, I mean, that's Cass City really showing its versatility. And we know that all 3 of those guys they can be go-to backs. They all bring a different style and different dimensions. I mean, Hacker had 26 carries, so he was definitely the workhorse, 194 yards. But I like to see 3 guys in triple figures like that.
And he caught some passes, too. Cathrell adds another dimension to this offense in case they need a crafty play. They have a guy that can do that now. But might I tell you this, we know Ubly USA are in the playoffs. They do not want to draw Cass City in the first round. I'm telling you right, that is not the team.
It's going to be Ubly in a rematch.
It's probably going to be Ubly, and that's not a good draw for Ubly because that Cass City team could be a spoiler team. They are playing better right now.
And I agree with you, Dave. In week 2, that was the matchup. That was it was Cass City at Ubly. And Cass City, in the second quarter of that game, had their way with the Bearcats. Now, credit to Ubly. Ubly recovered, but for a quarter, Cass City dominated and looked like they might have been able to go on for the win. And if they match up again, this is a rematch of last year's playoff where Cass City absolutely came in and manhandled Ubly. So these two have a nice little history together if they end up playing again against each other.
Cass City was led by Brad Hacker with 26 carries for 194 yards and 1 touchdown. He also caught an interception, and he had the game-winning touchdown reception. Big night for him. TJ Moore, 14 carries for 140 yards and a score, and Nick Perry, 14 carries for 100 yards on the dot and 1 touchdown. Reese was led by Jake Gallister, 4 carries for 66 yards, a touchdown, and received 2 interceptions. He was 5 for 12 in passing, threw one interception for 143 yards and a touchdown. Kansas City now at Caro, trying to get their 6th victory of the season. Caro at 2-6 on the season. Reese at 5-3, trying to find that 6th victory, and they are hosting the Essex Hill Garbarians at 6-2 on the season.
And let me just add, Clark, nothing would make Caro happier than to play spoiler. Cass City now, an emotional win. Now you have to gather your emotions and go on the road to Caro, rivalry game, and your rival could keep you potentially out of the playoffs. So Cass City's got to gather themselves together. This was their 5th win, not their 6th win, and they got to go finish the deal off at Caro.
USA and Vassar squared off on Friday night in Vassar, Michigan, and it was all USA Patriots. At the end of the first quarter, it was 14-0. At halftime, 21-0. In the third quarter, USA tacks on 2 more touchdowns, make it 35-0. And in the fourth quarter, 1 more for good measure, 42-0. Final score, USA over Vassar. The Patriots rushed for 335 yards, passed for 48 yards. And here's the best part for USA's defense. They limited Vassar to just 142 yards in the night, 15 yards rushing the ball on 13 carries for Vassar. And through the air, 16 for 37 for 127 total yards. Vassar threw 1 pick to USA. For Vassar, they were led by Noel with 6 carries for 63 yards. Not much going for Vassar all night, and I think this goes to show USA with utter domination.
Yeah, what sticks out to me is 48 yards passing. That might be a season high for the Patriots.
Getting ready for the playoffs. I'm telling you, they are ready to go. They are preparing for the playoffs. They are a team to be reckoning with, and obviously we both agree we got to think USA and Ubly are in line for a rematch, but USA has continued to impress ever since that loss to Ubly. They have continued to impress every week. Obviously the big one over Lakers, but they did not let that get to their head. They come out and stuck with their business, stuck to their guns, and took it to Vassar on the road, which to me is still an impressive win.
I agree, Dave. They came off an emotional victory against Lakers, and that only got them a share. They had to go back on the road to Vassar, refocus themselves, just like I said, what Cass City's got to do against Carroll. And this was a very focused effort. To go on the road, shut out Vassar. I think this was a statement win to say, hey, we are not the team that limped into the playoffs last year. We are a team that's playing its best ball at the right time and feel like they can beat anybody that's in their way. And they want that rematch with Ubly. Why wouldn't they? They lost by 10 points. I thought that game seemed closer than a 10-point ball game, and they just match up so well. I think this is a game that we all want to see is a USA Ubly rematch when the first game was so close.
No question about it. They're two very good teams, 2 well-coached teams, and they're 2 teams that don't make mistakes. So it's really going to be curious to see which one slips up a little bit or just who is the better team.
For USA, they're trying to make it 8 victories in a row as they go on the road to Harbor Beach, who is 4-4 on the season. That game on Sports Radio 102.1 to wrap up our regular season coverage on the WLAW Sports Network. USA at Harbor Beach this Friday. Coverage starts at 6:10 p.m. Vassar hosts the Sandusky Redskins, who, of course, is 2-6 on the season, coming off of a loss to Brown City. Vassar at 3-5 overall. 7:32 on Sports Radio 102.1. It was an absolutely beautiful day in Huron County, and especially at our east side studios of the Clark Ramsey Manor at the WLAW Sports Network. The Clark Ramsey Manor, of course, life, liberty, and the pursuit of luxury. Book your stay today or like them on Facebook. That is the Clark Ramsey Manor. It is currently 65 degrees in Harbor Beach, Michigan. We an absolutely beautiful weekend capped off, and we'll see what this week looks like as our forecast goes forward. Meteorologist Paul Janis standing by. Tune in every Sunday night at 7 p.m. for The Strong Side throughout the entire season. And of course, next week, our 2-hour special beginning at 6 p.m. as we break down Week 9 number coverage at 6 p.m. until 7 p.m. And then, of course, from 7 to 8 p.m., we announce the brackets for the postseason in Division 7 and Division 8 and 8-man playoffs right here on Sports Radio 102.1, starting at 6 p.m., our 2-hour postseason special on Sports Radio 102.1. The Lakers and Bad Axe Hatchets faced off on Friday night in Laker country, and it was all Lakers in the first quarter as 14-0 after Keegan Valentine and Zach Gertzenberger each score, 14-0 after one. In the second, 9:11 left in the half, Jacob Kretschmer out for a 24-yard run for the Lakers, makes it 21-0. And 3:03 before the half, Matt Gorkowski for the Hatchets finally get on the board with a 1-yard run. It'd be their only score of the night at 21-7. Before the half is over, Lakers score two more times. Jacob Kretschmer from 30 yards and Travis Deering with a 28-yard run on the first play of that drive makes it 35-7 Lakers at the half. In the third quarter, just one score. Zach Gertzenberger at quarterback tonight. On Friday, 59-yard pass to Taylor Katie. And then in the fourth quarter, another score for Katie with a 4-yard run. Makes it 48-7 final score for the Lakers as they take out Bad Axe for Lakers' 7th victory of the season.
I was at this game, and I was really looking forward to seeing Lakers. I hadn't had a chance because of their schedule and because of some other coverage to see them. Seth Stapleton had a chance to see them a couple times, and I was really looking forward to seeing Wisner and Seeley. I see
Not so much.
Seeley in street clothes, and Wisner was dressed. He could have played. He was in an emergency situation if they would have really needed him. Obviously, early on when it was 21-0, Wisner knew he wasn't going to get into that game. And from the sounds of it, Seeley has a significant knee injury and could be lost for the season, just from the reports that we're hearing. So that's unfortunate. But the guys who filled in, Kretschmer, Gertzenberger, Deering, these guys were very impressive. Katie, I was really impressed with a week of preparation, how these guys were able to run the offense. And really, I think they ran the same offense that Wisner and Seeley we were accustomed to seeing from these guys. So I think when Seeley and Wisner went out against USA, that kind of threw them for a loop. They really weren't prepared for that. They went through a whole week of preparation and really kind of showed, and I think that was some really good coaching, and these guys were ready for that situation.
Well, I think it shows how talented Lakers is top to bottom. I think they have a lot of athletes that can fill in at any time. Of course, middle of a game in the second half for the West Championship isn't really the time you want to have to put these guys in, but I think with a little bit of preparation, it shows they have some talent. It also is a credit to not only coaching, but the offensive line to be able to help these guys get out to some runs. But I know Clark and we got to watch Jacob Kretschmer take over. Hunter Seeley was banged up in the last game him and I covered a few weeks back.
Lakers, Cass City, yeah.
It was, and Seeley went out. We didn't really know what was going on, and Kretschmer jumped right in, and he took over for a series or two, and he didn't miss a beat. He clearly wasn't as quick as Seeley, but he ran the ball very, very well, was very strong, and showed a little speed of his own. But so we knew he could fill in, but I didn't know what was going to happen with Wisner. I knew he was banged up, so I think it was smart that they rested him, and they showed that they got some other guys that can handle the workload. So it was an impressive recovery game for me for Lakers, obviously coming off that devastating loss with your best two players injured. This was a good win for them, and hopefully they can get a little healthier come playoff time.
And this is just pure speculation, but I don't think Brendan Wisner is going to play at all against St. Charles coming up in Week 9. Why? Why play him if he's still a little bit dinged up? Don't play him, because win or lose, Lakers cannot improve their playoff seed. They are going to be the number 3 seed in this district. It's going to be Ubly number 1, USA 2, Lakers 3, Cass City 4. If you can't improve your seed, and Wisner is still a little bit banged up, sit him, because you're going to need him in the playoffs. If he's healthy, ready to go, and everybody else is on the same page, they're going to match up with USA. They can beat USA if they don't shoot themselves in the foot with penalties and turnovers. If they're not their own worst enemy, absolutely, they could go into USA and beat them, but you need everybody healthy. And Brendan Wisner is a real key to that offense. So if his health's in question at all in Week 9, I say sit him.
He's a key not only on the offense but on the defensive side, and the defense is what's going to keep them in the game with USA or whoever they happen to be paired with come round 1 of the playoffs, like you mentioned. But I wouldn't be surprised if he does start that game. Actually, I think he may actually play and do like a preseason game in the NFL. He gets the first series, just to get back into a little rhythm, a little rotation, and then take him out. And I don't even think I'd play him on defense either. But I do think I'd let him take a few snaps if he's healthy.
If he's ready to go.
It's going to be very minimal. I don't see a point, especially if St. Charles isn't any good.
St. Charles at 1-7, Lakers at 7-1, and I do believe this game is being played at Saginaw Valley,
which has been the case for Lakers the last
this was the third season now.
3 years.
Bad Axe at 1-5. It's not too hot of a season for them at 1-7 now, and they are at Ubley, who is 8-0 on the season. And of course, Brendan Wisner, Hunter Seeley both sat in that ball game.
I was a little disappointed with Bad Axe. We're in week 8. And Coach Kelly Durr had to call a timeout, at least a couple timeouts, because he was yelling out plays, and the players were looking back to the sidelines, shrugging their shoulders, like, what play is that? It's week 8. You probably should know what plays are being run. So, a few weeks ago, I saw Bad Axe against USA, and I was really impressed. And this game, they looked totally shell-shocked. So I was a little disappointed with Bad Axe seeing that.
For Brown City and Sandusky, Brown City makes it 4 wins in a row and takes out Sandusky 62-19. It was 16-0 after the first, 38-7 at halftime, and 46-13 after 3, and 62-19 your final score. For Brown City, they were led by Caleb Muxlow, 15 carries for 127 yards. Ricky Lindsay had a big night, 14 carries for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns, and also a touchdown recovery for a fumble. Let's reverse that around. Fumble for a touchdown. Muxlow threw for a touchdown. Calvin Cook threw it for a touchdown. Ricky Lindsay also brought in 25 yards receiving for 1 touchdown. Brown City now 4 wins in a row for 4-4 on the season. They're at K-Pac, and they just might squeeze in a weekend at 5-4.
Yeah, they might. It just seems like with Brown City, too little, too late. They've really found something. I've been hearing reports. They changed some things in their offense, moved some personnel around, and obviously the results are. We're seeing a 4-game winning streak, and it's unfortunate that it took that long to make those changes, because if they could have made them a week or two earlier, we could be looking at an automatic playoff berth instead of having to win to get to 5-4 and then hoping that's going to be enough to get you in.
Well, they also had to play the West the first couple weeks too, so that's not exactly the teams you wanted to be playing against when you weren't totally sure who should be playing where in your offense. But I got to say, besides Reese, Brown City makes the case for the most improved team in the area. They've really impressed us, because we know the East hasn't been that good, and we just kind of thought they would beat up on each other. But Brown City, 4-1 in the East, I think that's something to be noted. That's very impressive. They're putting up some nice offensive stats since making these changes, and look for them to win again next week at win number 5 and give the old playoff crew something to think about coming out of the East.
It's time for one last break, and when we return, we'll take a look at the Week 9 schedule and our projections for the MHSA playoffs, as brought to you by snooze2u.com. This past segment of The Strong Side was presented by Thumb National Bank and Trust, growing wherever you are with online banking and a mobile app designed just for you. Thumb National Bank and Trust, locations in Pigeon, Caseville, Cass City, and 2 locations in Bay City, and now also in Bad Axe. I'm proud to say we are entering this segment accident-free for 2 weeks now. Dave Hansen has not knocked over a television. Let's take a look at week number 9. This segment being brought to you by
composure this week.
Yes, keeping composure, and being brought to you by McCormick Motors. Learn why all roads lead to McCormick Motors in Pigeon. See Marion Shetler, Alec McCormick today. That's McCormick Motors of Pigeon. Week number 9 schedule. USA at Harbor Beach, your game of the week on the WLEW Sports Network. Bad Axe at Ubley, Sandusky at Vassar, Brown City at K-Pac, Armada at Marlette, Memphis at Clarkson Everest Collegiate, St. Charles at Lakers at Saginaw Valley State University, and Cass City at Carroll, Essexville Garber at Reese. That is your Greater Thumb Conference playing at non-conference week 9.
Absolutely. There's a lot of unique teams on our schedule this week. But a lot of potential blowouts I see on the schedule. But there's one game that I'm kind of rooting for. Well, I'm rooting for Brown City this week. I think that could be a decent game. K-Pac, probably isn't that much, but I'm hoping Brown City can go in, make a little statement, put up some points, and maybe another local area team could have a chance to make in the playoffs.
Exactly right, Dave. The only two games that are really of any interest are Garber at Reese and then Brown City at K-Pac, because those have playoff implications. Everything else is decided. USA could even lose, and I still think they could probably keep the second seed in that district in the playoffs.
Well, we take a look at the projections for the MHSA playoffs. Of course, these are from snooze2u.com. That is snooze, the number 2, UYOU.com. Or just check out our mugs if you're watching on Michigan'sThumb.com. And these are before this past week's games. So the new projections, I should say, come out, I believe, tomorrow night. But before this past week's outcomes, in Division 7, we have a nice little district schedule. Ubly and Cass City, USA and Lakers is what it's looking like, and more than likely that's going to stick.
I don't see any way that doesn't stick. Reese could even make the playoffs, and I think they're still going to get shifted to that Region 2. So I think that District 2, Region 2, District 2, that's set in stone. I don't see any way that it can change unless Cass City were to lose.
That would be about the only way.
We're giving Cass City a loss, and then that could bring in the possibility of Reese, if Reese beats Garber, or even a 5-4 Reese or Cass City could sneak into that district, because we're still going to need somebody to be in that district. But I think we're pretty safe with what we're looking at. So it's a district of rematches. Ubly and Cass City met in week 2. USA and Lakers met for the Greater Thumb West Championship. So there could be a little bit of redemption there on both sides. So I love the way that district's setting up.
Well, and a lot of these teams played each other early in the season, especially in Ubly's case, with being the only team from the East playing all these teams from the West. They played these guys early. So from their case, they played them weeks and weeks and weeks ago. These teams are all a little different. They're all, I would say, more improved than they were. They look a lot better.
But so do the Bearcats.
They're included in that conversation. Maybe the only one that isn't quite going to be the same as if Hunter Seeley can't play. Lakers is definitely going to be hampered a little bit, but
I would agree with that. But I think they showed in that win over Bad Axe with the preparation that there are some capable running backs to fill in, and the thing is, you got to go in knowing that Seeley's not going to play. You know, when you're thrust into a championship game like they were, Lakers and USA, and you're deep into the game in the third quarter, and all of a sudden, your horse, who you've ridden all year long, Seeley, goes down and Wisner goes down. You're just not prepared for that at that point in time.
Right. There's more to it than that, though. He has an extra gear, and he's faster. He's
stronger too.
He's been doing it all season long, and he's that extra couple yards here and there. He breaks that tackle here and there, and might I add the most important point, he plays D-back. He is that kind of that deep safety that comes up to stop the run. If there's a pass play, he's kind of that guy. And again, you can put bodies in that same position, but will you get the same results? I find that hard to believe. So that's going to be a difficult shoe to fill. But like you said, they're going to have a week, 2 weeks, and 3 weeks to prepare. So now's the time. But that would be the only thing that would change some of my predictions on this district.
Now, something looming in the region that one of our 4 local teams could run into is New Lothrop. I do believe now at 8-0 on the season, just racking up a whole bunch of playoff points, taking on some Class B schools during the regular season. The New Lothrop, I can't remember their name.
Hornets, man, yeah.
Hornets, of course.
That's it. They survived Pewamo, Westphalia, which is no given there. Pewamo was your number 2 team in the state right now.
Of course, PEWAMO, Pewamo, Westphalia, played Harbor Beach in Harbor Beach a few years ago. Great team in and out year after year. So that's going to be a tough region regardless for our local teams.
Oh, no question about it. I mean, enjoy the district because that's going to be your home games. Then that district winner is going to go on the road, whether it be to PW or New Lothrop. The winner of our district is definitely got their work cut out for them. It's no walk in the park. And then if you're fortunate enough to win that region, guess who's waiting for you? Your defending state champion, Traverse City St. Oh no, actually they're not defending state champion. They lost in Division 6 last year.
That's right. Yeah.
They're moved down to Division 7. So
they're back.
They're back. Traverse City St. Francis is back. So that side of the bracket, if it holds up, is awfully tough.
And of course, this is all Division 7. These are projections as brought to you by Snooze to You as the most accurate predictor of high school football in the thumb of Michigan, of course, because the MHSA, in their dark arts, they could change this all up on us and throw us for a loop. But the way this has fallen out, it's not going to change much.
Here's what we know. I mean, next Friday, next Saturday, but by next Saturday afternoon, we're going to know the full field because it's a mathematical formula. It's 256 schools, 8 divisions, 32 teams. I mean, it's not rocket science to break that down once you know who your top 256 teams are. And then it's kind of a guessing game from there, and you go from, where these teams have gone historically and stuff like that. But we've seen Snooze absolutely nail these regions from time to time, and then the MHSA throws us for a loop. So that's really going to be the surprise when we're watching the show, because when we go into that show next week, we're going to know who's in the playoffs. There's not going to be any surprise there. The surprise is the cat's out of the bag, but that's just the way that the nature of the playoffs are, because it's a mathematical formula. So if you put in the time, you know who's going to be in the field.
Snooze has been very accurate. They were last year, especially as memory serves correct. They were right on so many levels, but sometimes the locations can be shifted in different directions for whatever reason, and that's kind of the MHSA's luxury, I guess, to decide who gets to go where.
But the bottom line is you're going to know the 32 teams that are in Division 7. Where they're going to be placed, that's still going to be up to the MHSA, but we're going to know.
The last couple teams are the only ones that can get a little dicey there at the end, especially if you start reaching into the bag of 5 and 4 teams.
And that's where Ubley is on that cusp, but it seems like they are safe so far, as they're about 10 students larger than what the cutoff into Division 8 is for the Bearcats. And if they went Division 8...
If they get pushed down, I mean, we were preparing for it a few weeks ago, but now it looks like they're going to go Division 7. If they go Division 8, I mean, all the preparation and all the talking we've had about rematches goes out the window, and we have a potential really good Division 7 team that's going to be in Division 8, because I think Ubley could really do some damage if the scenario pushed them down. I mean, look out, if they get the right draw, they could do a lot of damage.
And let's take a look quickly at 8-man football. The projections show in Week 7 that Deckerville and Owen Gage would actually be in the same region. However, we're not really sure that's going to play out. This also has Peck in these projections, and more likely what we're going to see tomorrow when the new projections come out, Peck dropped out, and then this really throws things for a loop.
Well, not only is Peck going to drop out, but Rapid River, they got blasted by Powers North Central this week, and that puts Rapid River at 5-3. And the significance of that is Rapid River is a UP team. If they get knocked out, the closest team left would be Owen Gage, because they're the furthest team north in the thumb, and this is what's happened before. This is why the thumb's been split up. Only 16 teams make it in 8-player football, and Owen Gage would get sucked up into the UP bracket. So it's going to be really interesting, and it'll also be interesting to see who takes Peck's spot in the southern bracket. So there's a little bit of a fluctuation going on right now, and I'm going to really look forward to the projections, because I really liked what was setting up here, but I don't think that's what's going to be the case now.
Right, and that's where, again, Snooze to you can't really predict that, because we all kind of thought Peck was going to win this week. I don't think there was too many people that picked North Huron to win. And, again, kudos to them for winning, but I know Peck is banged up. Peck gets the win, or Peck doesn't get the win, and now all of a sudden you eliminate them, you got to find another team.
And I just want to add real quick, if that region did stay the way it was, New Haven Merritt was going to jump Deckerville in playoff points. New Haven Merritt in all likelihood is going to beat Flint International, jump Deckerville, and all of a sudden we'd have a Deckerville-Owen Gage matchup in the first round. Very intriguing, but I don't think that's going to happen now.
Well, we'll find out next week, as our 2-hour special for the postseason is at 6 p.m. on Sports Radio 102.1 this coming Sunday, a week from right now. And, of course, our Game 9 coverage of the regular season is USA on the road, taking on the Harbor Beach Pirates, trying to make it 8 wins in a row in the regular season. On behalf of our entire WLW Sports broadcast team, back in the studio pushing all the buttons, that is Eddie Fury. The sports editor of the Huron Daily Tribune, Paul P. Adams, and in-game analysis, Dave Hansen, and I'm Clark Ramsey, producer and host of this broadcast. Thank you for listening to The Strong Side. When we return on Friday, you'll hear USA and Harbor Beach on Sports Radio 102.1.